Welcome to Mobile Home Friend YouTube channel, your go-to resource for everything manufactured housing.
Welcome to another deep dive from Mobile Home Friend. Today, we are looking at the trim problem based on our latest research at mobilehomefriend.com. So, have you ever walked into an older manufactured home, maybe even one you own right now, and despite putting in gorgeous new floors or upgrading to a really nice countertop, something just feels off? It kind of feels a bit cheap, right? Almost like you're stuck in a 1980s time capsule? Well, today, we're going to fix exactly that. Think of this explainer as your ultimate blueprint. We're going to diagnose that visual noise, unpack the quirky engineering behind it, give you a rock-solid concrete solution, and finally, break down the budget.
Here is our game plan for today. We'll be covering why it looks cheap, factory shortcuts explained, the flat stock trim system, wavy walls and floors, budgeting your trim upgrade, and finally, the final transformation.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, why it looks cheap.
Let's just address the elephant in the room right off the bat and really validate that nagging feeling you get when your eyes hit dozens of erratic, dark plastic lines across your walls. Listen, you could easily drop 10 grand on a stunning quartz countertop, but if you leave that original factory trim, it acts like a massive anchor. It pulls your entire design aesthetic right back to a 1980s factory floor. This comparison really hits the nail on the head. Site-built homes rely on consistent dimensions to create a geometric, architectural grid. It feels grounded. But older manufactured homes, they use trim purely as cheap patches. There is literally no grid. Instead, your eyes are just bouncing around between tiny 1¼ inch baseboards and these chunky 2-inch dark wall battens. Every single boundary line changes scale, texture, and color. Honestly, it's just complete visual chaos. Moving right along to section 2, factory shortcuts explained. Let's peek behind the curtain at how these homes were actually put together. It wasn't just terrible taste from the builders, I promise. Those ultra-thin trims and paper-wrapped foam baseboards were calculated engineering shortcuts. Think about it. They had to build a chassis that could flex and bounce down the highway at 60 miles per hour without cracking the walls. To do that, builders left 1/4-inch expansion gaps between the vinyl-over gypsum panels. So all that trim you're looking at, it was literally just stapled on at high speed to hide production tolerances and those structural flex gaps.
Which perfectly sets us up for section 3, the flat stock trim system.
Okay, the really good news is we have a concrete solution for this, and it's called establishing a trim system vocabulary. You absolutely cannot replace this stuff piecemeal. If you swap out a rotting baseboard in the bathroom but leave those old dark battens in the hallway, you're just creating a worse patchwork effect. You have to establish a continuous vocabulary, meaning a single matching profile, dimension, and paint color. When you use that consistently across the space, it actually tricks the eye into viewing the home as one integrated, intentionally built unit. As we noted on the site, standardizing on simple 1x4 flat stock for your door and window casings and 1x6 for your baseboards is for sure the smartest strategy. This uses clean, square butt joints. It establishes absolutely perfect architectural proportion without trying to awkwardly force a $1 million ornate mansion look into a smaller space with lower ceilings. It just looks incredibly crisp. All right, time to get our hands dirty. Section 4, wavy walls and floors. Execution time, and this means navigating the notoriously weird physics of manufactured construction. You can't just blindly fire nails into 5/16-inch paneling like you would with traditional drywall. Those nails are going to pull right out. Instead, when you fasten your heavy MDF or pine trim to those unpredictable 2x2 studs, you need to use 18-gauge brad nails. But here's the secret. You have to toe nail them. That means shooting them in at alternating 45-degree angles. And you absolutely must use a heavy-duty polyurethane construction adhesive. The glue handles the long-term weight, while those angled nails just hold the board tight until the glue actually sets up. Now, what about those vertical strips on your walls? Those dark wall battens are your biggest visual offenders by far. You basically have 3 ways to tackle them. Number 1, the low-cost option. Paint them to perfectly match the wall using a really good bonding primer so they blend right in. Number 2, the mid-cost option. Rip them off and replace them with clean 1½ inch flat wood lattice strips for a really cool, intentional board and batten look. Or number 3, the high-cost, high-labor option. Eliminate them completely using fiberglass mesh tape and joint compound for a totally smooth, traditional drywall finish. And then there's the floors. They are going to be wavy. Whatever you do, do not try to force a straight board down onto a roller coaster floor. Just follow these 4 steps. First, level your baseboard using shims. Second, set a scribing compass to the widest gap you see at the floor. Third, trace that floor contour directly onto your board. And fourth, back bevel cut that pencil line with a jigsaw. If you want the full technical breakdown, check the post on mobilehomefriend.com to master this professional scribing technique. It guarantees your baseboards will perfectly hug those weavy subfloors without any ugly gaps.
Let's talk money. Section 5. Budgeting your trim upgrade.
So, why take this on as a DIY project? Well, the financials here are a total game changer. By doing this yourself, your whole house material cost drops to around $1,200. Compare that to the thousands and thousands of dollars you'd shell out for professional labor to get the exact same result. It is, without a doubt, one of the highest return DIY projects you can possibly take on for your home's equity. Actually, quick reality check on the budget. Don't forget the small stuff. The trim boards are not your only expense. Fasteners, adhesives, sandpaper, and most importantly, high-quality elastomeric paintable caulk are going to make up about 30% of your total project cost. Jump over to the Mobile Home Friend website for our full recommended tool list so you don't get blindsided at the hardware store. And whatever you do, please don't cheap out on that flexible elastomeric caulk. Mobile homes move and flex, and standard, cheap painter's caulk will literally crack in just a few months. But seriously, look at this long-term payoff. A relatively minor upfront investment in materials yields massive, exponential equity returns. Fast forward 10 years, and you are looking at a net equity differential of over $9,300. You're unlocking this value simply by eliminating those visual buyer discount flags, the cheap factory details that subconsciously make potential buyers want to negotiate your asking price down. Bringing us home to Section 6, the final transformation. Okay, we've mapped out the tech and the budget. How do you actually pull this off without entirely losing your mind? Please, I beg you, protect your sanity by phasing the project. Do not rip apart your entire house on a random Friday night. Start small. Phase 1 should be a small test bedroom. You really need a low visibility space to practice your scribe cuts, figure out custom door jamb extensions, and dial in your nailing technique before you ever dream of touching the highly visible main living areas. Once you finally execute this, I'm telling you, the results are legitimately stunning. True visual order completely replaces that annoying background noise of temporary factory panels. When everything is properly installed, caulked flawlessly, and painted with a crisp semi-gloss enamel, the frantic visual chaos just vanishes. It leaves your entire home feeling incredibly solid, permanent, and beautifully unified. I really want to highlight this fantastic quote from Chuck Odell. You aren't trying to hide the mobile home. You're replacing factory shortcuts with clean, well-proportioned materials. I love that. This whole process isn't about pretending your home is something it's not. It's about honoring how efficient it is while elevating the design to a standard you can truly, truly be proud to live in. So, I'll leave you with this question. Which room in your manufactured home are you going to transform first? Are you going to start safe with that small test bedroom, or are you fired up to plan out the whole house? Thanks for watching. For more guides and the full article on this topic, head over to mobilehomefriend.com. Don't forget to check the links in the description below.
Thanks for watching. For more technical guides on this topic, click the link to see the in-depth article over at mobilehomefriend.com. There are many more informational dives into manufactured home topics to investigate and keep your project moving forward.